On today's show, where does Devin Booker rank amongst the best in the NBA? Plus, how many Suns players will crack the Locked On Top 100? Let's talk about it all next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube, as well as a credentialed Suns media member covering your Phoenix Suns 365 days of the year. Thanks for making Locked On Suns your first listen on this beautiful Friday. Don't forget, Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands, dare I say millions of Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer, get locked onto the Phoenix Suns each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Join me today, making his Locked On Suns debut, a rookie, while just this seasoned veteran over here, just watching over him, taking him under my wing. A fellow Suns credential media member and writer for Suns on SI, Brendan Mao. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Doing well. I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, just excited to have you here. We got a lot of things to get into, man. And believe it or not, dude, and I said this to you before the show, I actually do research on the person who does the writing, who I'm having on. I'm not just looking at people's Twitter's bios. I'm asking people, I'm looking at things that we can come up with. And you wrote an interesting piece, fairly straightforward, but it was an interesting topic of discussion that helped me come up with today's show. And that was this, man. NBA.com ranked its top 10 players in the West heading into the 2025-2026 season. And on this list, it was some of the usual suspects, right? Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama. No Devin Booker on the top 10 players in the West. What was your reaction to that? Because mine immediately was, oh my God, can Kawhi Leonard win one series post 2019 championship before we crown him? Can Victor Wembanyama, forget winning a playoff series, could he make the playoffs? I mean, some of the other guys on this list, man, like I totally get the Lukas. I mean, LeBron is still awesome. Kawhi, KD, Anthony, like some of these guys I get, but at the very bottom, even Anthony Edwards, like I think there's an argument to be made. I might not believe it's true that Ant isn't better than Booker, but like I could hear the argument that Booker's better than Ant, even though I might not agree with it. It just feels so cut and dry to leave him off. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too surprised because he missed the All-Star game, and it's not like he did anything the second half of the year to really help his case with the Suns missing the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, it's clear when you watch the Olympics or anything that he belongs right up there with those guys. And he had a little bit of a down year, and I think how the Suns did really affected his case for how good he can be. I mean, KD's still on there. KD's been on the Suns. You can't have two top 10 players on a team that's the 11th seed in the West. So I think kind of where the Suns finished really affected him, and the fact that he didn't make the All-Star game didn't really help his case, especially with how they finished.
Man, that's actually a really good point that you had just mentioned there. KD was on this team. Even though it says Houston Rockets, he clearly was a Phoenix Sun. They're basing it off of last season. And then you're talking about a team having two top 10 players and missing the playoffs in the Western Conference. And, it kind of leads me to believe like the whole Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper situation with Rutgers were like, they didn't even make the tournament. I guess I would just ask this, man. In your like covering of the Suns, you watching all the games, is Booker's time as one of the premier players in the Western Conference already over? The dude is 28 years old. He actually should be hitting his statistical prime this year for like the next 4 seasons, and we're writing the dude off.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot to prove this year, especially after a down year, because everyone wanted to see that ascension last year. But now it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's just so many question marks surrounding this team going in the future. But Devin Booker's always been a constant, and now it's how does he fit in with this new group? And it's going to be seen because now you don't have Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal next to him. You have Jalen Green. How that dynamic is really, I think everyone would say, the biggest question mark and the biggest determining factor of how good the Suns are going to be this year. But for Booker himself, I don't think he's already written off. I think there's way more room for him to grow, especially now that he's the lone star again. He can there's a lot of room for improvement from last year, at least for him personally and for the Suns as a team. But with his efficiency numbers last year, way down, field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, I think he can improve a lot in that. And then his playmaking has only been ascending. So I think there's still room for improvement. I don't think he's written off yet, especially if the Suns somehow are a playoff team this year and he leads them to that, then I think there's no doubt that he's going to be back on this list if that happens.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about like with Booker in terms like it's just different, man. In the regular season, and I get people quoting me wrong in the comment sections all the time. Devin Booker, in my opinion, is not a 1. I think he can be the best 2 on a championship team, like the best 2 in the league. I think he has, like, I think he's better. He will be better than Klay Thompson when it's all said and done, like career numbers wise, maybe not championship wise, but I thought Klay Thompson was like the best number 2 in the NBA at one point. I think Devin Booker can also be that guy. But I think in the regular season, it's different. The superstar number, like for myself, man, when I say the superstar number, I believe only we have about 8 true superstars in the NBA. These are guys that if they're on your team, you have a chance to win a championship. I don't think Devin Booker's on that list. But I do think in the regular season, he can be on that list. It's just when the postseason hits, he's never going to be the guy that is going to get to the basket, take all the contact, deal with the basically new officiating rules in the playoffs when they just swallow their whistle. Like, I don't think he's going to be that guy. But in the regular season, I think he can be. What is your assessment on Devin Booker? Do you think he still has the potential to be a 1? Or are you more like he can be your 1 for this team, make the playoffs, and then figure it out from there when trying to construct a championship winning team in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree with you on the fact that his playoff numbers are just that one year, 2023, the first year with KD, how good he was in the playoffs. I mean, he was pretty much the one based on how well he was playing. And I mean, he's been a playoff riser, but like you said, I mean, he has no championships to show for it. So it's kind of hard to, I mean, if you say there's 8 superstars in the league, I would agree with you that there's not many superstars, and Devin Booker has not proven that he can lead a team to a championship yet. But I still think he has room to grow, and I think he's shown in the playoffs that he can elevate his game. It's just a matter of I don't think with this team that all the pieces around him will help his case, but I think he can still be a 1. I wouldn't say he's a superstar based on your definition, and in my opinion as well, that there's not many superstars in the league and you have to do a lot to get up there. And I don't think he has that yet, but I think there's still room for him to grow and he can be that guy in the playoffs. It's just a matter of if there's ever going to be a good enough team around him in these next few years to help him get there.
Let's argue about that really quickly. I don't think there is any world where Devin Booker can be the best player on a championship winning team. History tells me over the last 15 years, Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, these bigger wing and up players, if your name isn't Steph Curry, you're probably not a 1. And what's the difference with Steph Curry? It's not him getting to the rim. It's the fact that he could pull it from 50 feet and drain a 3. I think with Booker, and like when people bring up the 2023 year, which in your defense, he was awesome it was 11 games played. He was awesome for like 8 of them. The last 2, he put up massive stinkers because he just ran out of gas the last 2 games. but he shot 58, 50, and 86 from the field with a true shooting percentage of 68. To put that in perspective, in the finals year run, he shot, and he was awesome in that finals run, he shot 55% true shooting. And in that year, he shot 66%. So, like, Booker, I get, can be awesome, but, like, sell me on why you think that there is still potential there for him to be a number one guy on a championship winning team.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in his first playoffs ever with Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. I mean, I would argue that Booker was obviously the one in that situation.
True.
They made it all the way to the finals. I think it's just about getting those complementary pieces around him that aren't necessarily ones, like KD was the one this past year, or just anybody else that could really be that number one. I don't think that's ever going to be, or at least in the next few years, I don't think the Suns are going to have anyone that's going to be the one over Booker. It's about putting those pieces around him, and he just needs someone. I don't know who it would be. I could ask you that. Who would it be? Like Chris Paul, that could elevate his game. I think it's tough to build a championship winning team, and
Yeah, it's tough.
The Suns have tried, and it didn't work with him as the two next to KD, which I would argue he was last year, the first year and a half. The half year that KD came over, I think they were kind of like co-ones, but KD kind of took that this past year. But I don't think the Suns are going to have that moving forward, another one ahead of Booker.
I don't know if there's I don't know if there's a clear guy out there right now that you could point at and say him. Cause I like guys that would fit next to Booker, like Larry Markkinen, but I can't, like, that guy's not a one. And like, I would be so disgusted if, the Suns were interested in Trae Young. That would be a disaster as well on this team. But just someone that can make up for Booker's deficiencies. And mainly it's getting to the rim and shooting the three-point jumper. We're running a little long in this segment, but I'm just curious. Anthony Edwards was on this list. Devin Booker was not on this list. Who's the best shooting guard in the NBA? I'm not even, and you know what's crazy? I'm not even bringing Donovan Mitchell into this. That is like, it's asinine when people try to tell me Donovan Mitchell's a better player than Devin Booker, because Devin Booker was better than him throughout the entirety of his career. And then now, because he's in the Eastern Conference, plays the Charlotte Hornets 15 times a week, he's now better than Booker and keeps underachieving in the playoffs. So, like, I'm not bringing him into it. It's a two-horse race between Booker and Ant. I told people last year, guys, we watched them toe-to-toe in the playoffs. It's Ant. And people got upset with me. I ended up being right. Where are you in that argument? Or I feel like I'm right.
Yeah, no, I would agree, especially with this how this past year went with the Timberwolves going back to Western Conference Finals. I mean, the Suns missing the playoffs. I think right now, Booker, this is kind of a prove-it year for him, and we're going to see what he does. But in my opinion, it's really a prove-it year for Booker and how he stands up with those guys that you mentioned. But Ant right now, the success that he's had on a team and a personal level, I think surpassed Booker right now.
All right, let's keep the show moving. For those that don't know, Locked On NBA is having all of their hosts come up with the top 100 players in the NBA. I've got a ballot. I want to bounce some of the guys off with Brendan here, and we'll talk about that all next. First, today's show is brought to you by Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? I don't think so. I wouldn't wait. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Listen, I got to tell you, I have a day job. I work at a facility, a business each and every day. They've got one person answering the phone, and we offer numerous different services. but we've got the phone off the hook all day. And we can't answer every single phone call. Go straight to straight to voicemail, and people aren't waiting for us. Had we been using open phone, using everything they're able to help us facilitate those calls, use their shared inbox feature, the game changer that it is, that can jump to any conversation without missing a beat, that is what would help take our company to the next level. So Open Phone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com. And if you have an existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right. Bringing my guy, Brendan Mount, back into the conversation. I was kind of explaining him a little bit over text. So we know how the Ringer does their top 100 players. Devin Booker is 19th on that list, when they the last time they, finished that or updated that list on June 6th, if I'm not mistaken. He was 19th, just behind Karl-Anthony Towns, which is just absurd, but we'll save that for another day. Locked On is giving hosts like myself, Locked On Heat, Locked On Suns, Locked On Mavs, everyone in the Locked On Podcast Network, a ballot to come up with the top 100 players in the NBA. We know Devin Booker's going to be on the list, but eyeballing it, where would Devin Booker be in your eyes? Or where do you think he feels best?
Well, going back to that top 10 list, I would say when I looked at the Eastern Conference one, I was like, wow, Booker would definitely be a top 5 player in the East. It's kind of the West and the talent discrepancy, especially with the injuries in the East, Jason Tatum and Halliburton. Booker right now, I think he's right around the 15 range, just basing it off of that. That's what I would say.
Let me give you a couple of names, just out of curiosity. So let's not argue again the injured players here. Let's keep them off there for right now. But Jokic, we'd agree, better than Booker. SGA, better than Booker. Giannis, better than Booker. Steph, I'd probably still say better than Booker. Ant, let's leave it out of there. Let's go here. So let me ask you this. On the Ringers, which was updated on June 4th, would you take Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell? We could just rapid fire.
Where was Mitchell at?
Mitchell was 8 on this list.
I'd say Mitchell right now.
That's crazy. Okay, let's keep going. Booker, Jalen Brunson.
Brunson.
Oh my God, Brendan, what are we doing here? This is not going the same way the way I thought it would go. All right, Cade Cunningham or Devin Booker?
Booker.
Okay, but Cade Cunningham came in the 16th spot, so I think it's fair, right? Where you have Devin Booker, I think, in the late teens to mid-teens, I think is fair where you would have Devin Booker. But I just wanted to answer that question really briefly, because what I think is even more interesting is in a top 100 list of players, where the hell are the rest of the Suns players? The most interesting one is Jalen Green. If I were to look at just this Ringer one, for example, Jalen Green is the 98th best player in the NBA as updated on June 4th. Does he crack? He does have a reputation of glorified shot chucker, not super efficient, fine. I mean, I would probably go to okay defender, not even fine. Where do you think, just ballparking, where do you think Jalen Green would be on this list?
I would say 60s or 70s.
That high for Jalen Green. Why is that? Sell me on him. What do you like the upside bringing to the Suns from Green?
Well, I'm just curious, the other Rockets on that list. I would assume Sengun, probably. I don't know.
Let's see.
And
I can look it up for you, right?
Amen Thompson.
Shagun,
But I just 26.
No, he's 46. So he was
46.
46 on this list. And then Amen Thompson was 41. And then you had poor old Jalen Green down at 96.
Yeah, I mean, I basically these kind of lists on how well they lead the team. And I think Jalen Green, even though he didn't perform well in the playoffs, and that remains to be seen if he can be a playoff performer when he gets to the Suns. I think that's the biggest question mark outside of his shot chucking, or it kind of goes hand in hand. But I think he played a big part in leading the Rockets in their rebuild and getting them all the way up to this 2 seed. Which is why I had Mitchell above Booker, just because of recent success. So that's why I would put Green higher, because I feel like leading scorer on the Rockets helped them get to a 2 seed, helps accelerate their rebuild by a lot of years. He may not have lived up to kind of the hype because of like everything you mentioned, the shot chucking, the inconsistent play. But I think just the role that he played in leading the Rockets factors more into that than some of his inconsistencies, and that's why I'd put him higher.
Yeah, I think if I were to rank Jalen Green somewhere, I'm just looking, like, I'm using the Ringers list because it's the most updated list of all of them out there. Like, and I look at some of these players, and like Jalen Duran, okay, Herb Jones 96, Kamara 95, Mitchell Robinson 94, Dylan Brooks 93, Vucevic 92, Aaron Naismith 91. Like, I think right in the 88 area where you find Tari Eason, who's also ahead of Jalen Green on this list. I think that's where it's fair for Green, because like I see the raw potential with Jalen Green. He has all the tools to be a bona fide star in the NBA, because I think he's long enough and athletic enough to be competent defensively, which is a lot for a star player offensively. If he could just shoot the ball more effectively from 3-point line, you are talking about one of the better backcourts in the NBA. Don't you agree?
No, definitely. I do agree. And I think him and Booker both, like I said, how Booker, this is a prove it season for Green as well, just because you want to see how he performs next to another star like Booker. He hasn't had another scoring star like Sengun. I think is more for his playmaking. Thompson, his defense at this point of his career. But yeah, I mean, I think like Booker, this is a great season for Green to prove himself and move up in whatever rankings you have of him. And same with Booker.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep the conversation rolling. Let's finish it up with this. All the rankings and conversations have kind of got me thinking, who are the top 5 players on the Phoenix Suns? We'll both have lists. We'll argue about it, and we'll do it all next. But first, today's show is brought to you by, as well, the fine people over at Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to go to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes into play. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you could splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it all possible. I've been to numerous Diamondback games this year. I've also been to like numerous games, period, in the Arizona sports landscape. Every single time I buy tickets, I use Game Time. Why? Because I love the feature of being able to see where I'm going to sit, see if my view is going to be obstructive, know that I won't be surprised when I sit down, but also the fact that prices drop more and more as you get closer to game time. So Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, ready code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, let's wrap the show up. This is something, I mean, it's not necessarily a big brain idea, but it got me thinking. If we're talking about the list on where players would be and Jalen Green and Devin Booker, where their rankings are fair, what about this? Let's give a top 5 list of the best players on the Phoenix Suns. That'll help us assess better how many guys would be on this list. And then looking at my list immediately, I'm actually wondering if Jalen Green is going to be as high as maybe I thought he would be. But you got a list for me? Let me hear it.
Oh, the Suns?
Yeah, let's hear it. We know who number 1 is, of course. Dylan Brooks. No.
Yeah. None. I have Booker, Jalen Green,
Man.
I would say it's kind of a toss-up between Dylan Brooks and I would honestly say Grayson Allen. So I have Brooks, then Allen, and then Mark Williams.
Okay. I thought about throwing Grayson Allen in the mix. However, he took a little bit of a step back last year, not only defensively, but shooting the three-point ball. He wasn't bad shooting three-point ball, but he did take a little bit of a step back. And because he's on the bench, because he's going to be backing up Booker and Green, because his contract isn't seen as tradable, I left him off the list. I get your idea of the best pure player is Jalen Green, but I think if you're talking about contributing to winning, man, that just feels a little high. Let me tell you my list: Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams, Jalen Green, Ryan Dunn. Now, if you're not familiar with my game here, I'm a Ryan Dunn advocate. I almost stuck him ahead of Jalen Green, but I had to have some restraint. So he's the 5th best player on this team right now. But I just look at Dylan Brooks, man. I'd be curious to know what you expect from him this year, the acquisition, what it's going to bring to the Suns. But I think, which is why when people say they're going to be a championship, or not a championship, they're going to be a playoff team next year, I point to Dylan Brooks and I say, if that's your second best player, and I think there's a good argument to be made, it is. I don't know if that can be your second best player on a playoff team. What do you expect from Brooks this year?
Yeah, that's exactly why I wouldn't put him at number 2, just because Green has to be your number 2 because of his scoring ability. I think Brooks coming over, I think him and Mark Williams kind of are just going to play the same roles that they played on both the Rockets and the Hornets. Green is going to have to fit in a little bit differently than he did playing next to Booker. But I just think the Suns go as Jalen Green and Devin Booker go. So that's why I have him at number 2. And in terms of Brooks, I would say, yeah, you want him to come here and be the tone setter, be that guy that ushers in this new identity that Matt Ishbia has talked a lot about. And you want him to do him. I would honestly say him and Jordan Ott, even though Jordan Ott doesn't have the same reputation that Ime Udoka does. You want them to come in and usher in this new era of basketball for the Suns, just like Brooks and Ime Udoka did for the Rockets. So I would say Brooks is a very important player for the Suns in terms of that. I wouldn't say he's the number 2 though, just because the Suns need Jalen Green to be number 2, and I think they will value him as a number 2, and he will end up as the second best player on this team.
Why did you leave Ryan Dunn off your list? The reasoning why I just think Dunn, I think that guy is still a potential star in the making. I understand the shooting is a little suspect. We're going to get it fixed. We're sending him to lethal shooter. However, defensively, he's one of the best defensive players, I think, in the NBA, just mano-a-mano with anyone. I think the passing ability has gotten better. The playmaking ability has gotten better, I guess I should say, instead of just passing. And then getting to the rim. I think he is going to be the guy that gets to the rim and not Jalen Green if the Suns team is going to succeed. Because I think with the bigger body of Dunn, he's going to be really, really important for this team. What say you, man?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that Dunn is going to be important for this team. And I think he's the obvious starter, in my opinion, next to all the guys that you mentioned. And I honestly think that although Grayson Allen cannot start on this team, I just think he's more established. That's why I had him instead of Dunn on my list. I think he's way more established in what he can do. And Dunn, he has to prove himself a little bit more, in my opinion, to get him. I really like him, but he needs to improve his shooting. We need to see him attack the rim more. We need to see him improve in a lot of areas offensively for him to crack my list. I think he definitely can. Like, you talk about him, and I don't know what year this is for Grayson Allen, but if you compared whatever Dunn's going to be in 7-8 years compared to Grayson Allen right now, I think he's going to be far and ahead of him. But I think right now Grayson Allen has established himself right there. And I don't know, I even considered putting Royce O'Neal on this list.
Wow.
Because,
Wow.
I don't know. I would say, I mean, him. It's a toss up between him and Dunn. I would say if we're doing top 6.
Mark Williams, just finally here as we wrap this show up. Neither of us had him as the second best player, and I think there's a strong argument to be made he could be. What are your expectations for Mark Williams this year?
Yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen enough of him in the NBA. That's the problem with him.
I would agree. Yeah, I'd agree.
And his injuries, I mean, you just want to see more from him in order for him to be higher. He has the potential, like Green, but Green played all 82 games last year. You can expect more from him. You don't know what it's going to be for Williams. So, in my opinion, he can be arguably the most important player on the Suns outside of the fit of Jalen Green and Devin Booker if he does stay healthy. But it's that health concern is why I had him lower on my list.
Brendan Mao, Credential Suns media member, fellow Suns Credential media member, plus Suns on SI. Go ahead and check out his work over at Suns on SI. I know how much they love the Suns on SI title more than what it used to be called, so we won't even say what it is. But for all those listening, Brendan, I appreciate you coming on, man. But thanks for making Locked On Suns a part of your daily routine. Check us out on all social media platforms for myself, my guy Brendan. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I will see you guys on Sunday, which will technically be a John Voida Monday. So I will see you guys then.